This is
Good evening, I'm Esther Githu. It's Wednesday, October 9th. This is Africa 54. Press freedom in Tanzania under the spotlight. We'll take an in-depth look at President John Magufuli's relationship with the media. Kickstarting entrepreneurship among Zambia's youth. We'll take you inside Bongo Hive. And we'll show you how tech education can help uplift communities on the continent. We begin our broadcast in Tanzania, where President John Magufuli often makes waves for refusing to accept criticism of himself and his policies. His impulsive style has earned him the nickname the bulldozer. Magufuli came into office in 2015, and critics say since then his government has squeezed press freedoms through harsh media laws and intimidation. Charles Kombe has more.
Tanzanian police arrested TV journalist Joseph Gandhi in August for publishing false information after he broadcast a story alleging police abuse of detainees. Gandhi was detained for 3 days, then released on bail. He stands by his reporting and says the charges are political motivated.
When you want to try to report an issue which has the truth and involves authorities, sometimes a journalist, you'll end up arrested. You'll end up being told that you have written a false story, even if the story is true.
Gandhi's arrest came a month after police charged the reporter Eric Kabendera with tax evasion, money laundering and organized crime. Kabendera denies the charges and says they are connected to his critical reports of President John Magufuli's government. Red groups say the arrests are part of a pattern in which Magufuli uses new media laws in order to silence critics.
I recommend amendment of these laws. Because even the Universal Periodic Review of the United Nations recommended that these laws should be amended. They should remove the restrictions which are put by those laws.
Under Magufuli, Tanzania enacted strict laws on cyber crimes and media services. The laws allows authorities to suspend media outlets and charge journalists with sedition for publishing information deemed a threat to peace, false or even just misleading. Tanzania's authorities deny cracking down on freedom of the press and argue the laws are needed to prevent media abuse.
We insist there is press freedom. Myself, I'm a journalist. I am deeply concerned with media houses. I will not allow limiting press freedoms, no. For a journalist, you report your story, criticize the government, but for the purpose of building the country.
But media groups say the laws are encouraging self-censorship and fueling fears among Tanzania's journalists that they are targeted.
We have the case that happened 2 years ago, our colleague Azori Gwanda. Until now, we don't know about his whereabouts. This is something scary in journalism.
Meanwhile, Tanzania's journalists do what they can in an increasingly risky profession. For Gandhi, that means waiting for his day in court. Charles Kombe for VOA News, Dar es Salaam.
The outspoken critic of President Magufuli is Tanzania's main opposition leader. Tundu Lissu says he's preparing to return home after nearly 2 years in Belgium, where he'd been receiving medical treatment. He was recently stripped of his parliamentary seat. Lissu, who is the leader of the Chadema party, says he will fight the matter in court. He spoke to VOA's Jackson Mvunganyi.
The Constitution states that an MP ceases to be a member of parliament when he fails to attend 3 consecutive sessions of the National Assembly without the permission of the Speaker. So that is the ground that they used. But then you have to remember the reasons why I have not been attending parliamentary sessions in Tanzania.
You've been out of the country.
I have been out of the country since September 7 of 2017.
Right, which the Speaker of Parliament knows.
I was shot when I was in Parliament. I was attending parliamentary sessions on that day. I was shot 16 times. I was taken out of the country unconscious, and I have remained out of the country ever since, trying to recover from my injuries. So when the speaker told the nation that he did not know where I have been all this time, it was very strange because I was shot while in parliament. The world knows where I am, except my speaker.
Right. So this happened around mid of this year, around June of this year. It was June 29th. But you had been out of the country over a year and a half at that point.
That's right.
Why did it take that long for him to actually sack you? Or to come to that conclusion that you were not attending parliamentary sitting and therefore you did not deserve to be a member of parliament anymore?
That is a very good question, and I wish I knew the answer. Because if it's a question of not attending 3 consecutive sessions of parliament, then I had not attended any parliamentary session the entirety of 2018, the last session of 2017, and 2 sessions of parliament of this year. So in total, I had not attended like 8 continuous sessions of parliament.
How are you feeling right now? How is your health? And I guess the question on very many people's minds is, when are you returning to Tanzania?
Health-wise, I'm doing pretty good. Since 30th of July of this year, I have been weaned off all the medications that I've been taking since I was shot. The last time I was in this particular room in February of this year, I came with crutches. This time around, I've come walking on my own 2 feet. So I'm doing pretty well. As to the question of when I should be returning home, the answer to that is anytime. We are working with my colleagues in Tanzania because the people who shot me have remained at large. The government says that it does not know who did it. They don't have a suspect. They never made an arrest. They have never produced a single investigative report. So there are issues concerning my safety and security upon returning home, which must be sorted out, and my colleagues in the party back in Tanzania are working on that. When they give me the all clear, I'll be returning home.
Tomorrow, we bring you part 2 of Tundu Lissu's interview with Jackson Mvunganyi. Lissu opens up about why he thinks there was an attempt on his life. He will also talk about Tanzania's political evolution 20 years after the death of the country's founding father, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. The United Nations says it might not have enough money for staff salaries next month unless member states pay what they owe. That's the warning from UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The world body is facing its biggest cash crisis in nearly a decade. Guterres says he introduced extraordinary measures last month to cope with the shortfall, adding that vacant posts cannot be filled. He says only essential travel is allowed and that some UN meetings may have to be cancelled or deferred.
The organization is facing a severe financial crisis. To be more specific, a severe liquidity crisis. The equation is simple. Without cash, the budget cannot be properly implemented. These months, we will reach the deepest deficit of the decade. We risk exhausting the closed peacekeeping cash reserves and entering November without enough cash to cover payrolls. Our work and our reforms are at risk. As I introduce the 2020 program budget proposals, I reiterate my call on you to recommit to paying your financial obligations on time and in full.
Guterres warns UN operations in New York, Geneva, Vienna, and Nairobi, and at regional commissions will also be affected. Now, tech-savvy young people with dreams of becoming the Zambian versions of Mark Zuckerberg's are turning to technology innovation, an entrepreneurship hub called Bongo Hive. It's situated at the heart of the capital, Lusaka. The Bongo Hive is now getting global attention, with the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, visiting the place. But even tech giants such as Amazon are working with Bongo Hive to help young people in Zambia kickstart their businesses. Our affiliate station, ZNBC's reporter Joshua Jere, produced this story, narrated by Chansa Kunda.
Like the name suggests, Bongo Hive is a place of brainy activity full of young people with dreams to address the challenges facing their communities and hopefully build successful startup businesses. The young people feel any space available to work on their projects. Dr. Moses Simata and his pharmacist friend are working on a mobile app that will give information on where people can access specific medical services anywhere in Zambia, much like a Google for medical services, but they call it MediSearch.
We're a Zambian startup. We're a mobile application trying to make it easier for small and medium-sized health service providers to be connected to their potential customers.
In one room, 3 young people are engaged in testing a digital solution in another. Raphael Songwe is fixing a laptop.
I'm a co-founder for TJ's Tech. It's a company that provides affordable refurbished computers for students. We also have an initiative within the company that we are calling eSchool that provides computer programming for kids between the ages of 8 to 18.
And outside, Retron Jovu, who runs a real estate startup, is designing a warehouse for a client.
We joined Bongo Hive just literally as we had started the business. So it was about finding out what skills and tools that we needed to be able to grow the business. So that's how I joined the Bongo Hive Discover program. And that one allowed us to break the business apart into its different components and bring it back together into a business that was actually ready to be taken to market.
Established in 2011, Bongo Hive is Zambia's first technology and innovation hub that brings entrepreneurs into its space and turns their ideas and projects into a profitable business.
If we can get people together, whether it's people who have a good idea, people who can mentor them, people who are experts in an area, and people who are enthusiasts about that, or financiers or investors in an idea like that, what we can do is we can work together to hopefully find solutions to challenges that we have on this continent.
Early this year, Bongo Hive had a royal visit in Prince Harry, but Bongo Hive also has tech royals such as Google, Facebook, and Amazon on their side.
So we currently have a partnership with Amazon on the AWS side. Software developers or startups building projects that need hosting infrastructure can then use Amazon's infrastructure for up to $5,000 worth of credit.
Bongo Hive trains about 100 young people each year. And like a beehive makes honey, the young people are making their own money.
That was affiliate station ZNBC's reporter Chansa Kunda narrating for producer Joshua Jere. Now, from innovation to hubs to the economy and climate change, we continue our special focus on Zambia this week. Africa 54's managing editor, Vincent Makori, is in the southern African nation, and today he's in the capital, Lusaka, where he filed this report.
I've been in Zambia for a few days now, but this week I am in Lusaka. The city of 5 million residents is the commercial center and the seat of the government of Zambia. Now, this city is vibrant. There's business of all kinds, shops, supermarkets, malls, but also it has become a center of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. We will be telling you more about that and about Zambia for the next few days. I'm Vincent Makori, VOA Africa 54, managing editor in Lusaka, Zambia.
Tomorrow, we'll bring you another special report from Africa 54's managing editor, Vincent Makori. We'll take a closer look at the challenges from Zambia as it tries to move toward hydroelectric power generation. We'll be right back.
Portuguese,
Bantu,
Arabic.
It is the beat.
The African beat that counts.
The beat does all the translations.
It cuts across all languages and gives us the understanding that this is the African beat.
It is so distinct
and adhesive.
It binds us together.
African beat on the Voice of America. For more information, visit our website at www.voanews.com/AfricanBeat.
I am Shaka Sali, host and senior editor of VOA's international calling talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
I'm Clara Frank, and here's what's trending. Accra Fashion Week opened last week with designers Clavon Leonard from the U.S. and Okumo Bertha Jangu Makwar from Ghana showing their designs. This year's Fashion Week celebrated the Year of the Return, a Ghanaian campaign which encourages African descendants to invest in Africa. Leonard's collection celebrated the Ghanaian symbol of gold, worn traditionally by Ghana's influential Ashanti community, while Jung Makwar emphasized African strength through her designs. Next up, when it comes to interiors, designers are often finding ways to be more environmentally friendly. But now nature itself is becoming a key trend. This year's Decorex London is showing a woodland-inspired children's bedroom, along with many other designs which can bring the outdoors in. Made from sustainable brands and products, the bedroom's designers from Run for the Hills Design Studio say it's inspired by a fictional 5-year-old eco-warrior. The rugs on the floor are made from recycled plastic bottles. They lie on top of biodegradable fiber flooring. And finally, stressed-out Latvians can now unwind in destructive style in a new rage room in a garage in Riga, where visitors can relieve stress by smashing objects for a fixed fee. Smash Room Riga owner Christoph Zalitis says the majority of people visiting the attractions were either single people or couples, typically younger people working in office jobs on computers. Visitors get a choice of various tools to smash with and only pay for the items they've destroyed, with costs ranging from €2 for a plate or vase, 35 euros for a TV, and 200 euros for a piano. And that's what's trending today.
The White House says it will not participate in what it calls the unconstitutional impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump. White House lawyer Pat Cipollone sent an 8-page letter to House Democratic leaders, including Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who are looking into whether Trump broke the law by urging Ukraine to investigate Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden. Cipollone accuses the Democrats of violating, quote, fundamental fairness and constitutionally mandated due process. Pelosi responded to the White House late Tuesday, calling the letter manifestly wrong. Pelosi said any more efforts to hide the truth of the president's abuse of power will be seen as further evidence of obstruction. Democrats appear to be moving ahead with the impeachment inquiry even as the administration blocks key witnesses from testifying and has been slow to provide documents. The Democrats have a majority in the House of Representatives, and should they vote to impeach President Trump over his dealings with Ukraine, it would lead to an impeachment trial in the Senate. That's where the president and his Republican supporters have a distinct advantage, and where they would likely vote to acquit him. VOA's national correspondent Jim Malone has more on the president's political firewall from Washington.
At the White House, President Trump remains defiant in the face of the Democratic impeachment inquiry.
What they did to this country is unthinkable. And it's lucky that I'm the president, because I guess, I don't know what, a lot of people said very few people could handle it. I sort of thrive on it. You know why? Because it's so important.
At the heart of the impeachment inquiry is Trump's effort to convince other nations to investigate a political rival, former Vice President Joe Biden. Democrats see the president's actions as an abuse of power. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff.
This is one of the few impeachment inquiries in the history of our country. It goes to the core of whether the president abused his office to seek political help in his re-election campaign, and did so to the detriment of our nation's security.
Trump has denied any wrongdoing and said his focus was fighting corruption, not politics. Republican lawmakers who have defended the president dismiss any impeachment move. But the Democratic House may be headed toward making Trump only the third U.S. president to be impeached, says legal analyst Paul Schiff-Berman.
These are extraordinarily serious allegations. I'm not sure there's ever been a time in our history where we've had a president who has conducted foreign policy for his own personal political gain.
Impeachment in the House is only a first step, says William Galston.
If there are articles of impeachment voted in the House of Representatives, which in the U.S. system serves as the sort of the prosecutor making the case, but the real jury is the Senate of the United States, and there it would take a 2/3 majority to remove President Trump from office.
Republicans hold a majority in the Senate, and the president remains confident about what would happen if an impeachment trial took place.
And then we'll get it to the Senate, and we're going to win. The Republicans have been very unified. This is the greatest witch hunt in the history of our country.
Convicting the president and removing him from office would require a 2/3 vote in the Senate, or 67 of the 100 members. That would be a tall order for Democrats based on what we know now, says William Galston.
That would mean that 20 Republican senators out of 53 would have to join with the Democrats in order to carry out that act. And that requires a much broader coalition of support across party lines than we've seen so far.
The last impeachment trial in the Senate came in 1999, when President Bill Clinton was acquitted of the charges related to his affair with intern Monica Lewinsky. Jim Malone, VOA News, Washington.
It's time for our tech segment, and joining us now is our technology reporter, Paul Ndiho. Take it away, Paul.
Hello, Esther. U.S. technology giants are betting big on Africa. They are investing and opening development centers on the continent where they are training software engineers, building an ecosystem to tap into the burgeoning market for tech startups. But what does that mean for young Africans and aspiring tech software developers? Well, joining me to discuss that is Kasaija Kugonza, an independent technology consultant based here in Washington, D.C. Hello, welcome to Africa 54.
Yes, Paul Ndiho, thanks for inviting me over here.
Okay, so what does it take? You work for a bigger tech firm here in the D.C. area. What does it take to get into that industry?
So basically, there are several ways you can join the technology industry. It's basically either you have a degree or a master's in computer science or information technology, or you do certifications that will lead you to the path to join into the technology industry.
There are a lot of technology giants, like we saw in some of the previous reports. Tech companies are going into Africa, sourcing for talent. What is it that they are looking for?
I think basically they are looking for diversity, and they're also looking for as well cheap labor, because India and all the other nations, their labor is getting expensive, so they are trying to tap into Africa, which has cheap labor at the moment.
It's interesting that you talk about cheap labor, and yet there is this push for young people across the continent to get into STEM classes, or encourage their kids to do science, technology, and mathematics in schools.
Yeah, so basically, if you know the revolution of the industries. So right now we're into an area which is now the technology age. We have gone through all those other industrial revolutions. So now we're into, that's why now the technology and STEM is very important, because now everything is about because the business is already established, so right now all you have to do is put the technology part on top of the business. So that's why STEM is selling a lot.
I mean, you work for a tech firm here. So what is it that you do there, for example?
So I personally am a consultant, and I work with I do consultancy for a company called, it's a government agency called Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation, but I work as a consultant through Micro Focus. So all I do is consultancy to do with the management of the IT infrastructure. That is the servers, the databases, the softwares, and the applications.
There are a lot of parents who are watching you and they want their kids to be you. How can they get jobs in those big tech companies?
As I said, you either have to take your child through the STEM classes, that is computer science or information technology, or even if they graduate with an arts degree, they can as well do certifications into computing that can enable them join into the industry.
Besides working for a tech firm, you told me you also do programming on the side. You've created some stuff on the side. What is it?
So apart from that, I run my own company, and I basically do web development, and I do it for small businesses and also for non-profits. So one of the things I've done is I've developed an online dictionary because I realized Google doesn't have all the local languages, so I developed one.
In which languages?
It's a Runyoro dictionary. So it's there online. If you go to runyorodictionary.org, it should be there. If you translate from English to Runyoro and Rutoro. And also I've built another app called Abantu.Africa. So basically it's a news aggregation site. So it tries to basically get all the news across the different parts of Africa and basically integrate them. That one is still in the works. It's not yet done because I've had challenges in terms of news agencies exposing. They call APIs. Most of them, they don't have any built into their websites for me to tap and do everything.
In terms of networks, are there big enough networks for young Africans to tap in so that they can become part of this tech revolution?
So I would encourage most young. Actually, there's a lot because right now people are looking into mobile app development. You know, most of I do statistics on my own websites, and I see that most of the users are on mobile. So mobile app development, most of people have their websites, but they want them to become mobile apps. So I would encourage most young people to join into mobile app development because that's where the market is heading to.
Well, thank you so much. That was Kugonza Kasaija, an independent technology consultant based here in Washington, D.C. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Paul. Join Paul Ndeho each Wednesday for another tech report. And that's our show for today. Good night from Washington.